The wind was hot, heavy, and full of poison. On the edge of a dying jungle, under a red sky, a man named Kale walked slowly. His boots made a soft squish in the wet ground. He checked his scanner. Nothing. Just the usual rotten plants, thick air, and a swamp that killed almost everything that entered it. Kale was not a hero. He was a scavenger. He came to this dead planet to find old tech, metal, anything valuable. But today felt different. Suddenly, the scanner beeped. Kale stopped. The sound was soft, but it came from a head in the middle of the toxic swamp. Number. Life should be out there. He zoomed in with his lens. At first, he saw nothing. Just bubbles in green water. Then he saw it. A hand. A metal hand. Rising slowly from the swamp. Kale's heart jumped. He ran closer, pulling out his hook rope. Whoever it was, if they were alive, he had to act fast. The swamp could melt skin in minutes. Hold on. He shouted. The figure didn't respond, but the hand moved again. Weak, almost sinking. Kale threw the rope, wrapped it around the figure's body, and pulled with all his strength. Slowly, the body came out of the water covered in black mud and green slime. It was a woman wearing a broken metal suit, glowing slightly. Her helmet was cracked, and one eye was closed. The other eye was strange silver, almost like a machine's. Kale dragged her back to his small hoverpod. He threw a gas cloth over her to block the poison air. Her breathing was shallow. "Who are you?" he whispered. No answer. He took her to his hidden shelter, a small cave with clean air and med supplies. Inside, Kale carefully cleaned her wounds. Her body had deep scars, but they weren't normal. They glowed like old tech. Her blood was dark blue, not red. He checked her vitals. Not human. At least not fully. Hours passed. She didn't wake. Kale sat near the fire thinking. Was she part of an old war? A robot? A weapon? The galaxy had many secrets, but none ever came back from this swamp. Suddenly, she moved. Kale turned. She sat up straight. Her eyes locked onto his. One silver, one deep black. Where? Where am I? She asked. Her voice was soft but cold. Kale raised his hands. Easy. You're safe now. I pulled you from the swamp. She looked around the cave quickly. Her body tencd. Kale stepped back. I'm not your enemy. She stood up too fast. No human could move like that after near death. Who are you? She asked sharply. Kale took a deep breath. Name's Kale, just a scavenger. Found you almost dead. She looked at her hands, then at the small scars on her arm. Her face went blank. I shouldn't be here, she whispered. They were chasing me, Kale asked. Who? She shook her head. I don't know. I remember fire. Ships. Screams. Kale watched her closely. Her body was healing too fast. The scanner showed tissue repair, 10 times normal speed. He asked. Gently, what's your name? She paused. I don't remember. Kale frowned. You're not from this planet. That suit, I've never seen anything like it. She didn't answer. Instead, she walked to the corner where he stored weapons and picked up a laser knife. Her grip was perfect. Kale didn't move. I saved your life, you know. She turned to him. Then why am I still here? They never leave witnesses. Kale blinked. Who's they? Suddenly, a high-pitched sound filled the room. Kale looked at his comms device. A strange signal flashed on the screen. Not from any known ship. The woman looked at it too. No, she whispered. They found me. Kale asked. Who? What's going on? She looked at him, serious now. You need to leave. They're coming. Who's coming? She stepped close, voice calm but sharp. The ones who made me. Kale's mouth went dry. Outside in the sky, a strange dark shape flew over the clouds, silent, watching inside the cave. Kale took one last look at the woman. Something told him this was just the beginning. Hook. Start 5 to 7 minute. The fire had gone out. Kale woke suddenly, his neck stiff and his skin cold. He had fallen asleep sitting against the wall, but something felt wrong. He looked around. The woman was gone. Only silence filled the cave. The blanket was on the ground. Her armor suit was still there, but she was not in it. Then he heard it. A whisper of metal. A sound like blades sliding across stone. Kale slowly reached for his sidearm. He stood up and turned toward the shadows. And there she was, hanging upside down from the cave ceiling, barefoot, eyes wide open, watching him. Like a predator, she dropped silently, landing without a sound. Kale raised his hands. "Okay, not gonna lie. That's creepy." She tilted her head. "You're afraid of me." "I'd be stupid not to be," he said. She stepped closer, barefoot on stone, without flinching. "I woke up in pain. I don't know where I am. And I can feel something inside me. Something broken." Kale looked at her arm. The scars had faded. Muscle tissue had repaired overnight. "You healed too fast. That's not normal." She looked at her hands. "I don't think I am." Main episode. Kale led her to the scanner table. "Sit here. Let's find out what you really are." She sat down slowly. Kale turned on his old but working medical scanner. As the light passed over her body, the screen flickered with strange readings. "Your bones are reinforced. Your heart isn't even organic. It's part machine, part living tissue." She said nothing. "Whoever made you," Kale said, "they didn't want you to die easily." The woman stared at the screen. "I wasn't made to live. I was made to kill." Kale frowned. "You're a soldier?" She nodded, but not proudly. "A ghost from a war long forgotten." Outside the cave, the sky turned darker. Kale's scanner beeped again, a soft coded signal repeating in the distance. It was encrypted. Old tech. Not used for decades. The woman heard it too. "They're looking for me. Who is they?" Kale asked. She looked at him, voice cold. "The ones who created me. I ran. Now they hunt." Kale stepped back. "Ah. You saying you're a rogue weapon?" She didn't answer, but her eyes said yes. Suddenly, the ground shook. A distant thud, like metal striking earth. Kale ran outside. Across the swamp, he saw something crash into the jungle. A black pod, no smoke, no flame. It was a hunter drone. "They're sending scouts," she said behind him. Kale turned. "Why?" "Now, this planet's dead." She looked at the sky. "Not anymore." "I woke up." Building tension. Kale knew he should leave her behind. But something stopped him. "You don't remember your name?" he asked. She closed her eyes. For a moment. Her face softened. Then she said quietly, "I think." "It was Riven." Kale nodded. "Okay, Riven. What happens if they find you?" She looked straight at him. "They won't take me alive." Mini action sequence. Suspense. Suddenly, a loud metallic screech echoed from the swamp. The cave shook. Something was moving fast. Kale grabbed his rifle. "We need to move." "No," Riven said calmly. "Let me handle it." Before Kale could stop her, she stepped out of the cave and into the open. Across the swamp, a drone with 6 legs and a glowing red eye marched through the trees. It spotted her instantly. It fired a bolt of plasma. She didn't dodge. Instead, she caught it with her bare hand. The plasma burned, but her skin healed even as it melted. Then she ran toward the drone faster than Kale had ever seen anything. Moved. In seconds, the machine was on the ground, legs broken, sparks flying. Kale stepped out, mouth open. "Okay, that's definitely not human." Riven returned to him, calm, quiet. "I told you," she said. "I wasn't made to survive. I was made to end things." Cliffhanger ending. Kale looked at the broken drone. Something inside it was blinking. He knelt down. It was a beacon. "A location tracker. They know where we are," he said. "They're coming." Riven looked at the sky. Her voice was like steel. Then we have little time left. Unique hook, start 5 to 7 minute. The drone's eye was still blinking. Kale crushed it under his boot. Too late, Riven said. They've locked on. Kale looked up. The sky was wrong. Stars were moving. Not fast, but in a formation. Silent ships. Blending into the dark. Invisible to most scanners. But Riven saw them. They're here, she whispered. The shadows. Kale had heard that name once before, in a war story. A ghost fleet that hunted fugitives across space. And never left survivors. He backed away, heart racing. We need to run. But Riven was still, her hands clenched. Muscles tight. No, she said coldly. We make them bleed first. Main episode. Kale and Riven ran through the jungle, their path lit only by glowing fungus and flashes of sky. Lightning. The deeper they went, the quieter the world became. Too quiet. Kale's scanner showed no animals. No life at all. They cleared the area, Riven said. It's what they do, silence first, then strike. Suddenly, a buzzing sound rose in the air. A swarm of black surveillance orbs zipped through the trees like insects, scanning everything. One hovered near Kale's face. Before he could move, Riven leapt up, caught it mid-air, and crushed it in one hand. Kale stared at her. How do you know their every move? Riven looked down at the broken orb. Because I used to lead them. Backstory reveal. They found shelter in the remains of an old dropship, half buried in swamp vines. Inside, Kale lit a weak blue lamp. Riven sat silently, her body still charged with energy. Her eyes glowed slightly in the dark. Kale sat across from her. So tell me the truth. What are you? She didn't answer right away. Then, slowly, she lifted her sleeve. Under her skin was a glowing line of code burned into the flesh. Project Zeta, she said. They made me during the last outer war. I was their weapon, the perfect killer. Stronger than machines. Smarter than humans. She looked at her hands, almost in shame. I led teams that wiped out whole planets, until I broke. Kale asked. Why? She looked up. I saw a child holding her mother, both burned, but still breathing. They begged me for help. That night, I disobeyed orders. I let them live. She paused, and for that, they tried to erase me. Kale stayed silent. For the first time, he didn't see a machine in front of him. He saw a person broken, hunted, but alive. Before he could speak, a deafening roar echoed outside. The sky lit up. A ship had entered atmosphere. They've dropped a Reaper, Riven said. We can't hide anymore. Mini action scene. The trees exploded in flame as a tall black war machine dropped from the sky, landing like a meteor. It stood on two legs, with arms that turned into cannons. Kale and Riven ran. The Reaper scanned the area. It found Kale's heat signature and fired. He dove behind a rock. Riven ran straight toward it. The Reaper adjusted its aim, but she moved too fast. Sliding under it, she pulled a glowing blade from her back and cut into its joints. Sparks flew. The Reaper stumbled. Kale fired his rifle, distracting it for a moment. Riven climbed onto its back, stabbed deep into its neck, and twisted the blade. The machine fell hard, but it wasn't dead. It locked its arm around her and began a self-destruct. Countdown, Kale screamed. Get out of there. Riven yanked out a glowing orb from its core and jumped away just as the Reaper exploded, throwing her across the swamp. Kale ran to her. She was bruised but alive. You okay? He asked. She stood slowly. That was a scout. Kale's face went pale. That was a scout? She nodded. The real ones are worse. Cliffhanger ending. That night, Kale couldn't sleep. He sat near the fire, staring at the sky. Why help me? He asked. You didn't have to, Riven replied. Because you helped me. No one does that anymore. Kale looked down. I'm not a soldier. I can't fight them. She stood up, eyes glowing again. You don't need to fight, she said. You just need to run. Suddenly, a sharp alarm beeped from Kale's ship communicator. A voice came through, encrypted, robotic. Subject Zeta confirmed. Extraction begins in 12 hours. Area lockdown initiated. Riven's face hardened. Kale looked at her. What do we do now? She turned toward the jungle. We go to the place they fear. Kale narrowed his eyes. And where's that? She looked back at him. The lab where I was born. Unique hook, start 5 to 7 minute. She didn't breathe for 3 minutes. Kale timed it. He watched from the pilot seat as Riven sat still, eyes closed. Unmoving, plugged into the old war map inside the hidden base they had reached by nightfall. A needle-like cable connected her spine to the terminal. Information streamed through her nervous system. Her body twitched every few seconds, like she was remembering something painful. Kale had seen many things in his time. Plasma storms, flesh-eating spores, even a mind leech once. But never someone like her. Finally, her eyes opened, and for the first time, she looked afraid. They lied to me, she whispered. Kale asked, who? She looked at him, her voice hollow. Everyone. Main episode. The base they found was underground, old, abandoned, forgotten by most of the galaxy. It used to be a training center for war-born operatives. Now it was full of dust and silence. Kale followed Riven through the dim corridors. She seemed to know where everything was, even though she claimed to have no memory of the place. This is where I was made, she said. Not just trained, made. Kale frowned. You mean, like grown? Riven nodded slowly. Cloned, engineered, enhanced. The perfect soldier. But not alone. There were hundreds of us. Kale swallowed hard. Where are the others now? She looked down. Dead, or worse. Flashback memory reveal, inside one of the locked rooms. Riven found what she was looking for, a black metal pod. She placed her hand on it. The scanner read her DNA and opened with a hiss. Inside was a memory drive. She connected it to the terminal. A hologram appeared. Her, younger, in full armor, standing beside others like her. Their faces were blank. Eyes cold, a voice spoke from the recording. Project Zeta. Subject RL9. Combat rating, extreme. Psychological control, unstable. Kill order approved if loyalty wavers. Kale looked at Riven. They built you to fight, but didn't trust you to think. She nodded. They wanted soldiers, not people. Revelation plus emotional turn. Another memory played. This one was different. It showed a mission on a peaceful colony. Civilians, children. The Zeta soldiers were ordered to wipe them out. But in the footage, Riven refused. She stood between her squad and the civilians. Shots were fired. She killed her own team to protect the innocent, then ran back in the present. Riven stood silently. Kale said quietly, "That's why they fear you. Not because you're dangerous, but because you disobeyed." She looked at him. They called it malfunction. I called it choice. Tension build plus external threat. Suddenly, alarms blared across the old base. Motion sensors lit up. They found us, Kale said. No, Riven replied. He found US. On the screen, a life signal appeared. Kale zoomed in. A man, walking straight into the base without fear, alone. Who is that? Kale asked. Riven's voice was ice. My commander. The one who created me. Cliffhanger ending. Kale raised his weapon. Riven stopped him. Don't shoot. Not yet. The door opened. A tall man in dark armor stepped in, calm, controlled. His face was lined with age, but his eyes were sharp. He looked at Riven. You remember me, child? Riven didn't speak. He smiled. Good, because I remember you, my greatest creation. Kale stepped between them. She's not yours anymore. The man didn't even glance at him. You think she's free? She still has the code. Still obeys the root command deep in her mind. Riven's hands trembled. Stop, she whispered. You feel it, don't you? he said, the voice inside you, waiting for a command. He stepped closer. Come home, Riven, or watch this planet burn like the last. Riven looked down. Kale whispered, don't listen to him. But her body froze. The commander spoke. Again a single word, deactivate. And Riven collapsed to the ground motionless. Unique hook, start 5 to 7 minute. She wasn't breathing again, but this time, it wasn't by choice. Riven lay motionless on the cold metal floor of the old base. Her eyes were open, staring at nothing. Her chest didn't rise. Her fingers didn't twitch. She looked dead. Kale screamed her name, Riven. The commander only watched, hands behind his back, calm as stone. She's not dead, he said. She's asleep. Deep inside the code. Kale knelt beside her. Wake up. Come on. Fight it. She won't, the commander said, because she was never made to win. Only to obey. Kale stood slowly, eyes burning, and pointed his gun at the man's head. Main episode. You. Don't control her, Kale growled. The commander raised one eyebrow. You think pointing a gun at me will help her? I think you're bluffing, the commander smirked. Then shoot. Kale hesitated. And that was all the commander needed to speak the next command. Protocol override. Open memory gate level 3. Riven gasped. She sat up, eyes glowing bright white. Her voice came out cold, robotic, awaiting combat input. Kale stepped back. No. The commander looked pleased. There she is, my weapon. But something flickered in Riven's eye. A spark, then a whisper. Kale? The commander paused. Riven stood up slowly, shaking. Kale's voice cracked. You're still in there. She looked at both men, eyes flickering between machine and human. And then she ran. Not toward them, but out. Escape sequence plus bounty hunter twist. Kale chased after her, leaving the commander behind. They burst out into the jungle, where their ship was hidden. But someone was already waiting. A man leaned against Kale's ship, chewing a metal toothpick. Been a long time, Kale, he said. Still picking up strays, huh? Kale stopped. Jax was an old bounty hunter. Used to work with Kale, sold out more people than he could count. Now, his gun was pointed at Riven. Easy work, Jax said. You dragged the galaxies. Most wanted weapon into my lap? Feels like old times. Kale raised his rifle. Back off, Jax smirked. I could kill you. But I'm offering a deal. Kale stayed silent. Let me take her, Jax said. You walk away rich. This planet's already dead. No one wins here, Riven stepped forward. You'd sell me to the authority? Jax laughed. Of course. They're offering triple for you, alive or damaged. Doesn't matter. Kale looked at her. Then at his ship. He could run. Start over. Safe. Riven stared at him. Quiet, waiting. The betrayal. Kale lowered his gun. Riven blinked. Jax laughed. There we go. Knew you still had sense. Kale walked toward Jax slowly. So. We split the bounty. 50-50, Jax grinned. They shook hands. Then Kale punched him in the face. Jax stumbled back. Before he could draw his blaster, Riven moved in. One punch to the gut, one kick to the chest. He hit the ground unconscious. Kale wiped his hand. I didn't betray you, he told Riven. She nodded. But you made me believe you would. Kale looked away. I had to. So he'd believe it. 2. They climbed into the ship. Riven sat down, staring at Jax's body on the ground. Was that how it felt for you? She asked, back when they turned on you? Kale powered up the engine. No, I didn't have anyone then. Cliffhanger ending. As the ship lifted off, Riven said quietly, he's not done. The commander, he'll come himself next time. Kale asked, where do we go? She replied, to the source. There's one place that holds the kill code they planted inside me. Kale narrowed his eyes. Where? Riven turned toward him. The vault on Delta Red. But it's a suicide run, Kale smirked. Good thing we're already dying. Outside, in the black clouds above the swamp, a massive ship uncloaked, the commander's personal vessel, and it had already locked onto their signal, unique. Hook, start 5 to 7 minute. The stars were gone. Outside the ship's window, everything was black. Not dark black, empty, silent. Kale stared out, confused. We're in a dead zone, he said. No signals, no light. Not even gravity. Riven didn't look up. She sat still in the co-pilot seat, hands folded, breathing slow. It's not a dead zone, she said quietly. It's a scar. The galaxy's way of forgetting what it did. Kale frowned. What happened here? She finally looked at him. This is where I died. Main episode. They had reached the edge of Delta Red, a forgotten moon surrounded by space debris and broken satellites long removed from maps. A place erased, but Riven remembered. Not the details, just the pain dot. She guided the ship toward a narrow canyon that wasn't on any scanner. At the end was an old buried facility, the vault. This place held all original control codes, she said. Every Zeta soldier's core memory. Mine too. Kale asked, if you go in, what happens? I get the truth, she replied. Or I stop existing. Kale landed the ship. Sounds fun, he muttered. The vault and echoes of the past. Inside. The vault was cold. Dust floated in beams of pale blue light. The walls still whispered audio logs playing fragments of long-lost commands. Subject R09, reprogram complete. Warning, empathy levels rising. Initiate neural reset. As they walked, the lights flickered on recognizing Riven's presence. Doors opened for her automatically. The vault remembered its child. They entered the central chamber. At the center stood a strange machine, half organic, half metal, pulsing with low light. The archive, she said. It holds all versions of me. Kale whispered, how many? She didn't answer. Core revelation. Riven placed her hand on the archive. The machine read her DNA and began to hum. Suddenly, a hologram of her younger self appeared. She was smaller, thinner, eyes full of fear. The hologram spoke. They said I was special, but I was only their weapon. More recordings followed, versions of her from different years, each more broken than the last. Kale watched in silence as Riven faced every version of herself. Then one final file played, a voice, not hers. The commander's. Memory wipe successful. Last kill count, 14,678. Subject shows signs of emotional growth. Recommend full shutdown. Kale looked at her. That's how many lives you? She nodded. Before I remembered who I was. Confrontation. Suddenly, the archive shut down. Lights dimmed. They weren't alone. Clapping echoed through the chamber. The commander stepped out of the shadows, flanked by 2 advanced drones. You returned, he said, smiling. Even my most rebellious weapon obeys her origin. Kale raised his weapon. She's not yours anymore, the commander chuckled. She was never yours, scavenger. She is the galaxy's final weapon. The end of war. The beginning of order. Riven stepped forward. I'm none of those things. He looked at her. Double quotes. No, you're still just one broken command away from serving. He pressed a button. Riven dropped to her knees. Screaming. Her body shook violently. Kale shouted, stop! The commander walked closer. I didn't come to kill her. I came to reboot her. Cliffhanger ending. Riven's eyes flickered red, then white, then back to normal. She looked up at the commander. Her voice was shaking. You made me forget everything. He smiled. Of course. Pain makes loyalty stronger. Riven stood slowly. Something in her changed, not rage. Not hate. Clarity. Double quotes. No, she said. Pain makes rebellion stronger. She pulled the power core from the archive. The entire vault began to collapse. Alarms blared. Kale grabbed her arm. What did you do? Riven looked at him. I ended the place where I was created. The commander shouted, You'll destroy yourself. She smiled just a little. Then you'll never control me again. Unique hook, start 5 to 7 minute. Time slowed. Not just for Riven, but for everything. The world around her had no sound now. The alarms had faded. The commander's shouting was distant. Kale's voice was just a flicker in the back of her mind. All she heard was a heartbeat, her own, and it wasn't mechanical anymore. It was hers. She looked down at her hand, the glowing archive core still pulsing in her palm. Inside it, every code that ever controlled her, every kill switch, every order, every scar they burned into her mind. She could destroy it. And if she did, she'd erase them forever, but also erase what was left of herself. Main episode. The vault was collapsing around them. Pipes burst. Lights flickered violently. The ground shook as power surges cracked the metal floor. Kale grabbed Riven's arm. We need to leave now. But she didn't move. The commander, injured but alive, crawled toward her. Don't be foolish. That core is you. Without it, you're nothing but broken parts. Riven looked at him. Good. Kale shook his head. Riven, don't do this. You're more than what they made you. She looked at him softly. Am I? He stepped closer. Yes, you chose to save lives. You chose to fight back. You chose me. That's real. That's you. Her grip on the core tightened. Outside, the commander pulled a small detonator from his belt. If I can't have her, no one can. He pressed it. A warning light blinked red on Kale's scanner. Planetary weapon. Activated. Countdown begins. Kale's voice cracked. He triggered the vault's final defense. It'll launch a strike across the nearest colonies. Millions will die. The archive core began glowing hotter, connected to the weapon system. It wasn't just Riven's memory. It was the key to the end. She had only one choice. Destroy it and herself, or let it live. And let others die. The commander laughed. You were made to finish wars. This is your destiny. Kale looked her in the eye. No, he said. You're not a weapon. You're a choice. The decision. Riven stood tall now. Breathing steady. She raised the core high above her head. It shook, sending out sparks and pulses of light. Then in a single motion she crushed it. The vault screamed. The core let out a final burst of energy, white-hot and blinding. The commander cried out, his systems failing. Body twitching, and then silence. The ground cracked beneath Riven's feet. Kale rushed to her. Riven, we have to go. She didn't move. Smoke poured from her chest. Her glowing scars began to dim. Her knees buckled. Kale caught her just before she collapsed. Emotional climax, in his arms. She smiled weakly. You were right, she whispered. I'm not what they made me. Kale held her tighter. You don't have to die. We'll find something, someone who can fix. She shook her head. I don't want to be fixed. I just wanted to be free. Her voice faded. Her body went still. The vault finally gave in, exploding. Upward in a flash of light as Kale carried her out. Epilogue, ending scene. Days later, Kale stood on a hill on open sky-green fields below, stars above. No warships. No death. Just silence. He held a small memory crystal, her last neural recording. A fragment of Riven. Still alive. He placed it in the ground, next to a metal tag. Riven, not a weapon, not a ghost. A choice. As he walked away, the stars seemed to flicker, like maybe, just maybe, she was still watching.